Africans here. There were a few Africans, like really, you would go 1-2 hour journey, you don't meet any African. But now it's much better. You can meet more Africans. Like in some places, there are even more Africans than Koreans.
Okay.
So it was not easy. The kids were screaming. I stopped being friendly to kids because kids were screaming, uttering words like to say ghost, something like that. And I'm like, what? Don't you teach your child that they are foreigner people with black skin or something like that?
So they see Africans and they're like ghosts. Hi, welcome to another episode of the Study Abroad series with me, Salom. Today we are having a conversation with Sheilah. She's a Zimbabwean living in South Korea. She's currently pursuing her master's degree and she's going to take us through living, studying, and working in South Korea. So, hey, stay right here and enjoy the conversation. Okay, so Sheilah, welcome.
Thank you.
Did I get your name right?
Yes, Sheila.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, so like I said, we are going to speak to you about studying, living, studying and working in South Korea. Since you have the experience, maybe you take us through the process. Maybe first, I'll ask you, how did you land in South Korea?
Okay. How I came, okay, I introduced myself. I'm Sheila Mavenkere from Zimbabwe, and I completed my studies here in Korea, master's program and PhD program, and now I'm working. So it's been 10 years in Korea.
Wow.
How I came to Korea is like in 2010, back then when I just graduated from engineering with my first degree, metallurgical engineering, I got a scholarship to study here in South Korea. So I was offered that scholarship through Keimyung University, one of the private universities in Daegu. By that time, that university was only focusing on international students. Like they
Okay.
just wanted people from Africa. So they were offering like almost like 100% tuition and dormitory and little bit spending allowance. That's how I came to Korea. I never applied
Wow.
for the scholarship. I was just offered a scholarship.
Nice.
So that's
Congratulations.
how I came for my master's degree in 2011, March. So this year
Oh,
is like my 10 years in Korea.
yeah, you are 10 years, almost a decade there.
Mm, 10,
Interesting.
yes.
Yeah, so after that, you decided to
After that, I completed my master's degree, and at my university, Keimyung University, one professor just called me and said, "Do you want to go and study in Seoul?" I said, "Yeah, I want." And then he said, "Okay." He gave me email for. He said, "Take this email for this professor, check him on his website, and just arrange a meeting to meet him because he wants someone to study for PhD." So I arranged again to meet this professor, and I came to see professor, and professor was just happy with me because we had some mini interview,
mm-hmm.
and then he just said, "Okay, just don't change your mind. You can come and work with me. We are doing this kind of work like material science and engineering." So yeah, that's how I came. So it was like 2015 when I completed my master's degree. I went to Zimbabwe and then prepared to come back to Korea because I could not connect my student visa from master's degree to
To
PhD degree.
PhD.
So I
Okay.
had to go to Zimbabwe because my scholarship term was over. I could not overlap to another institution. So I
Okay.
had to apply from Zimbabwe, just applying so that I come, not like looking for a position like anything. So that's how
Yeah.
I came to PhD. Yes.
Okay. And how easily can we apply and get admitted into schools in
There are
Korea?
two types of scholarships. There are
Okay.
two types of scholarships here in Korea. One offered by universities and another offered by the government. So
Okay.
I think most people try the scholarship offered by the government. Those ones are very tight, like everyone is applying for it. So you have to be the best. You have to show that you are the cream, because Koreans, they are just like, when it comes to things which are like competition, like scholarship, like they really try to take the best. So if you are applying for any kind of scholarship, just a general tip, just make sure your documents are clean, your paperwork is clean, like nothing like forging or anything, because Korean people just want transparency, 100% transparency, and make sure your documents are up to date, no delays, just do on time. And then the other type of scholarship offered by universities through recommendation by professors, like the ones I did, it's the easiest. It's the easiest. Because the professor already accepted you, like for masters and PhD, the professor would have already accepted you. So you will write a letter direct to the admission office also as part of confirmation that he will work with you. So that one is easy, very easy.
How do I get a professor to accept me? Like, I'm in Ghana now. I want to apply to a school in Korea, South Korea. How do I start the process to even get to that point of getting a professor?
You have to know your area of study. For example, for me, it's engineering, materials engineering. So I looked for a professor. I didn't look, the other professor recommended to me, just said a professor's name in my study. So for you, if you're in Ghana, just know your area of study, go to any university website, search for the international graduate school, and then you check the degrees offered. When you check the degrees offered, you then know, they have material science, they have this course. So after that, you see that this degree is offered, then you look for the that department and that particular subject, and look for a certain professor. Like if you search for material science engineering, you will see about 7-8 professors, but every professor has their own particular work. Some people are doing recycling, some people are doing inorganic materials, photocatalyst. So if you want your specific subject, you check from there, and then you write email to the professor, because directly you can check the professor's work from that website, and then you will see that professor has work in recycling, and then you will see his papers and work and read it thoroughly. Then you sit down and think to say, how can you propose to the professor that you want to work with him?
Wow.
That's the most difficult part. What do you want to do? Because the professor, you may I saw 2 or 3 students who said they just approached professors and then they accepted them. So the number one tip is, make sure you know what you really want to do as you come to work with that professor. Because you may be rejected and yet you have great ideas. So you have to really show them how much value are you going to bring into that professor's work. That's the most number one way of getting accepted.
So I don't have to apply to the school first before getting a professor?
Yeah, for master's degree and PhD, you talk to the professor first. That's the easiest way.
Then when the professor accepts me, then I can apply to the admissions office.
Yes, but this kind of scholarship is, if you want to work with a professor in the research field, like us, engineering, there are many scholarships. Like our lab, we have more than 5 students. They are all on scholarship. We get salaries from our professor. So that's scholarship type number 1. Yeah. So if you identify any professor, you just talk to him. He will tell you, usually they know people from Africa, they need some financial backup. So they will tell you straight from there that if you work with me, I'll give you a salary of how much and how much. So from there, you ask him, is there any scholarship? Usually engineering, there are scholarships already, many. If you check on any university website, international students, then check the criteria for scholarships. Usually engineering and medicine, there are scholarships,
A lot of
100%
them.
tuition for PhD mainly. For
Okay.
PhD. Yeah.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah.
So if I understand, how about I don't want a scholarship, I don't want to study on scholarship, I just want to apply and then come into the school directly. Do I still have to talk to a professor first?
No, that one, if you're paying your tuition on your own, then you just go to the university website when it's admission period.
Yes.
Submit your documents on time. So when the admission process is in the process, they will let you know, there's this professor, so which one are you selecting? They will ask you, there's a time when they will ask you, I think in the application form, there is something that you fill up in regards to the professors.
Okay, so which
Masters and PhD. But undergraduate is different. You just do like you are just going
like a
to
normal,
school.
just apply and then get in. Okay.
Yes, just apply, send your applications without extra things. Because if you are coming to do engineering, you just specify which engineering, but the language is the one which limits many people.
Do I have to translate my documents into Korean?
No, as long they are in English.
Oh, okay.
Only people from French countries or Portuguese are the ones we have to convert their documents to read English.
Okay. So when I come to Korea, do I have to study in Korean or English?
That's very tricky. Because when I came also, they were saying we were studying English and I was happy like cloud 11. I got here from the airport, I realized I have to know Korean because we are asking, how can we go where we want to go? The people cannot even understand our English that we were trying to speak slowly. And I'm like, how is it going to be? So Korean universities, all of them, except business studies, in some business study programs, they are offered in complete like English from start to end. But other degree programs like engineering, most of our professors also studied in USA, so we can learn in English mixed with Korean. Some professors are not confident with English, so they offer their classes in Korean, but you see the PowerPoint in English.
Translate.
He can show the PowerPoint in English, but then he's speaking Korean. So you have to know Korean, whichever way.
Do they offer classes in Korean? Maybe you come there as a scholarship, students on scholarship.
Yes.
Do they offer free classes in Korean? Okay, that's great.
So my scholarship, it was like I had to do Korean language for 1 year, 1 full year of Korean language. And then after I passed the intermediate level, that was my condition of my scholarship. And the government scholarship also is similar. Yeah, so the professors, even if the professors say the course is in English, just know that you will not get 100% English teaching in Korea. It's mixed. In most cases, the professor will end up just speaking some Korean because like 99% of the students are Korean and you are one foreigner in that class, so they can't change their language to suit one person. You have to find your way out. So you have to understand Korean. So if you're interested in coming to Korea, from the day you start thinking about it, start learning Korean.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so which period does the application start? When is the application period in a year?
I think there are two application periods. I'm not sure about the dates, but there's one which happens sometime in November, October. But people have to check, well, there are two enrollments, one for September, October, for the spring semester, like which starts February and March. And then there's another enrollment mid-year. Is it July? June and July for the enrollment, which starts in September. So you have to know the dates. Well, there are two enrollments.
Maybe you can come up with at least 5 best schools in universities in Korea and the best courses that you think an African can pursue.
On best universities,
yes,
it's tricky. I may say the best university, but to get there is even more difficult for Koreans themselves. Exactly. What more you a foreigner? So the most, the top university, I would just say one because about their order, I'm not sure, but the Seoul National University is the best. So to get to that university, it's even tough for Koreans. But if you come for some kind of scholarship like the Korean government scholarship, the KOICA program, MURD, the Korean government scholarship types, that one you can easily go to Seoul National University. Other universities are all almost similar. It doesn't matter really. Yeah. As I see it, it doesn't really matter. If you're a foreigner, just any university in Korea is just as good. Yeah, depending on the other question. The other question was the courses that you think should be pursued. The best courses. Yeah. Because I'm in engineering, I think engineering courses are the best and easiest to learn in Korea. Oh, yeah. Because in engineering, we have formulas, we have equations, we have theorems and everything, and they never change from the English version to the Korean version. Okay. So once you just see like maybe Pythagoras theorem, the easiest in maths, so you just know Pythagoras theorem is the same, it doesn't change. But other courses like literature, history, related, law, social sciences, it's very, very difficult. But engineering and mathematics, it's the easiest. Yeah, engineering, mathematics, physics, yeah, those departments are easier, and computer engineering also. Those are anything with calculation is easy. Is easy for you to understand. So you mean the language barrier wouldn't? Okay. Because already the professor will be talking, saying, oh, this formula, so you keep on hearing that formula, and you're seeing the formula, and you take your book and read it, you understand. Okay. Yeah, so that's how it is. Okay, so now let's talk about social life in Korea. How a lot of Africans say Koreans are racist. Have you experienced anything of that sort, living there for nearly 10 years now? How is the experience? There's a motorcycle outside. That's the social life. Yes. So, racism. I may write a book, but some stories are better not be told. Exactly. All I can say in Korea, it's a growing community which is trying to embrace other people, like just any foreigner from any other country. Anyone who is not Asian is like a foreigner. They just say Wegugin, like there's a name to say foreigner. So once they just say Wegugin, you just know you don't belong here. And back then in 2011, when I first came, that's when I experienced the most hardest time, like to try to fit in Korean culture, because the stairs, they touched our hair, our skin, body, like the women, not men. Okay. The women would be like in a gesture to say, hi, oh, you're beautiful. And they're already touching you, and you're like, why are you touching me? And sometimes they just talk. Like the first year, I was okay. But when I started understanding Korean, I was like, oh my God, I wish I didn't know Korean. Because some of the things they will say, they would discuss you. Oh, she is this kind of hair. Is she going to wash it or something? you know, those kind of comments. There were a few Africans, like really, you would go 1-2 hour journey, you don't meet any African. But now it's much better, you can meet more Africans. Like in some places, there are even more Africans than Koreans.
Okay.
So it was not easy. The kids were screaming. I stopped being friendly to kids because kids were screaming, uttering words like to say ghost, something like that. And I'm like, what? Don't you teach your child that they are foreigner people with black skin or something like that?
So they see Africans and they're like ghosts.
Yeah, one kid, one day I was shopping and the kid just screamed, ghost. And I was looking at him, the child, like with an eye to say, are you serious? Like, really?
Wow, that's
And sometimes the racism, they don't say it right
Mm.
in your face that we don't like you. But if you are looking for a part-time job, if you go you with some Asian people, they wouldn't tell to you straight in your face that they were looking for this kind of person, not
No.
someone like you, like
Mhm.
something like that. So it's difficult to get part-time jobs. They will even specify that we are looking for Asian person, we are looking for Philippine, we are looking for Chinese. You will never find them looking for a Zimbabwean,
Uh-huh. They are not looking for Africans.
you know.
So how difficult is it if I want to work, I want to school and work in Korea? Do you think I can do that?
That one, subtract it from your
Plan.
itinerary. You if you work, it's by grace, by God's grace. I'm going to be plain on this. If you work in Korea, it's by God's grace, because if you work illegally and you are caught, you will be in trouble. So some people may find jobs like tutoring, private tutoring, but to find those ones, it's like 1 in a million. You can find one job to work in restaurant, but it's rare cases. And there are some works like in the factory. Those ones
Okay.
are demanding physically.
Yeah.
So to balance school and go to the factory is difficult. It's not like Europe.
Uh-huh.
That one I have to be clear about it. People in Europe can sponsor their studies by working in McDonald's. They
Mm-hmm.
can sponsor their studies, send home money, build houses back home. But in
Remittances,
Korea,
yeah.
you would need support to
From home.
sustain you here. So
Oh,
working opportunities are difficult for Africans.
Africans in Korea.
Mm.
Oh,
But for South Africans, because they say South Africa is native English speaker, only South Africa is native English speaking country, according to Koreans. So they can teach English part-times,
okay.
because there are some part-times for students like that. So people from Europe, they easily teach because they say they are native English speakers.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So those are lucky, but some of us, like the rest of us in Africa, we are not recognized as.
But you are working, or you are not working now?
I'm doing research in material science and engineering. We
Okay.
are
As part of your
doing,
PhD. Okay.
yes, we are doing research, yes, research work, yes.
Mm.
So for me, I was lucky that my professor just took me again after my graduation, because we were already working on something. So he offered me a job to say, please work with me. And then I said, okay. So that's how I found a job. Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
Um, will you advise people from Africa to school in Korea if the opportunity presents itself?
Yeah, I think if the opportunity is there, just open your mind and know that it's a Korean system, like Korean system. Then if you know that it won't be like too much stress for you if you come here, because you just have to learn Korean, you have to study in Korean, something like that. But some scholarships, like the Korean government, the KOICA program, maybe I will give you some links later, you can attach below. The
Okay.
KOICA program, people can study in complete pure English. They
English.
don't need any Korean at all. That scholarship is for government workers. It's very good scholarship. It's offered through ministries. Like in your country, if there's Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Housing and what, they are given those scholarships to give to government workers. That one is the easiest for you to learn in English. So if you get that kind of scholarship, just run to Korea.
Interesting. Okay. What do you like about being in Korea then?
What do I like? 10 years in Korea. This is my second home.
You eat a lot of their food and then you make videos on that.
Yes, I love food. I love food. I love Korean food. I love Korean fashion. Like the clothing is just so durable. And because I'm like slim fit, it's easy for me to find shoes. It's easy for me to find jackets. Their fashion is just like slim cut and it's so nice. Like I remember when I went to Zimbabwe after my graduation, everyone was asking me, where did you get your clothes? Where did you get your clothes? Every time. So I love their clothes, their fashion, the food, and I love Korean system. It's so transparent and the Koreans are just hardworking, which is something that I really admire.
Okay. What don't you like about being in Korea?
The fact that I can't go home. You know, sometimes you just want to eat your sadza, like the full type of food. That thing of saying I miss home food, I can't find it in Korea. I want to braid hair. It's very expensive, like very expensive. To just make this hair, I have to pay more than $80, $100, $180 for this hair. So those things really make me not want to be in Korea. But the rest of the things like transportation, they are so good. Like, but the boring part is social life. Everyone is just looking into their life. They are not really like social. I mean, people who are in Korea as foreigners also, they are very busy with their lives. The community is very like reserved and people are always busy, no time for each other, everyone on their phone, which is something I don't really like about Korea. Just my general advice, if you want to come to Korea, just come with an open heart, ready to learn Korean, ready to embrace Korean culture, ready to eat kimchi, because there's no way you will say, and I don't eat kimchi, because you always see it everywhere.
Oh yeah, I want to eat some. I've been craving for that in K-dramas.
Yes. So my general advice is come with an open mind and just be patient with Koreans. If you are in Korea or you are just you're trying to settle in Korea, just be patient with them because they are still trying to accept us in their system. That's what I think. Exercising patience is the most important thing, because if you don't have patience, you end up beating people.
And you'll be jailed.
Yes.
Okay, so nice speaking to you, Sheilah.
Okay.
Please, Sheilah has a YouTube channel. She's currently reading her PhD. So if you have any questions for her, you can subscribe to her channel. Please tell us your channel name so that people who are interested in studying can contact you directly. You can also leave your Instagram details so that they can follow you and then talk to you directly from there.
Okay, my channel name is Sheilah's Vlog, and I am on Instagram as Sheilah in Korea, and that's how my name sounds in Korea. It's Sheilah. Yes, Sheilah. And I also have a blog. If you go to my Instagram, you see all the links. If you come to my YouTube channel, you go to about section, you see all the links down, and then just try to follow me up from there. And if you need any other further clarifications on scholarships, especially if you are in engineering, because I am in engineering field. I can help you to identify some good schools or just brainstorming on which courses to do. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you so
Nice,
much
that's
for
great.
inviting me.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been very useful, like having you here. I know a lot of my audience are going to come to you asking for clarification. So yes,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. I'm going to leave her contact in the about section. So if you need to talk to her, you can just click on the link, and then there you have Sheila. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon
Thank you
in
so
Korea.
much. 감사합니다.